This is exactly how I make my team 5 to 10 times more productive with literally just 60 minutes a day of work for me. It's really, really simple. All it is running really, really good daily team meetings. We have a company with 30 plus people, part of the team, and all of the individual teams inside of the company run daily meetings. The sales team, the operations team, all the different teams, they run daily meetings, and we run them according to a certain agenda. And the reason why this is so important is because it sets a rhythm for the day. It sets a start point for the day. It builds up the energy correctly in the day. It gets people excited about getting back into work. And more importantly, it gets them in the flow of working and reporting and having accountability. So in this video, I'm actually going to show you a breakdown of one of our daily team meetings with our operations teams, one of the smaller teams in our company. It's about 7 or 8 people. And you're going to see exactly what we go through. Now, the agenda of how our team meetings work is, first of all, they start 5 minutes early. So this particular meeting starts at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So everyone has to be on the Zoom meeting no later than 6:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then right on the dot at 7 a.m., it starts with wins. So we go through, everyone shares their win. It's really quick, bang, 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 bang. Then we jump into what we call like the reporting section of the meeting, which is kind of wins as well, but it's literally us going through and everyone's kind of reporting what they've done. We also do projections in some other meetings. That's for another day. Then we go into company announcements, and then we go into training for the particular team, helping them get better at their job. Now, in this particular day, we actually did a training that's kind of a company-wide training. It's not particularly for these guys' jobs. I didn't want to share that publicly, just for, secret reasons. I don't want my competition to know exactly what we're doing. But I want to share this because it shows you how to run a really good meeting and just really, really strong company-wide training that we did that I think is really good. And I think everyone in this meeting, I want to shout them all out. So if you guys watch this, love you guys. You guys are an awesome team. The last thing I'll say before I play this meeting for you is I shortened it quite a bit. I had to cut out some, secret intellectual information that I can't have everybody posting on the internet. And I also bleeped out a couple customer names as we come through, again, just for privacy reasons. So with that being said, enjoy the meeting. And as you're watching it, think about the energy that you're seeing on the meeting, like how responsive people are, especially as we start going through the company training. I'm training them on the core principles and the mission. Like everyone's jumping in, sharing their thoughts. Like I don't have to sit there and ask like 4 or 5 times. It's just like, what do you guys think? And then like 4 people jump in, right? So that's what you want to see on your meetings. If you don't have that, it means you don't have a strong culture yet. Okay. And these guys did great because literally, you'll even see, like, I'm teaching them this meeting agenda as we go through. They haven't been running meetings like this, right? So you can see how great of a team these guys are because this is their first time doing this and they're crushing it, right? That's what you want to see from your team. And by doing this, your team will be 10 times, 5 times more productive with you spending literally an hour a day. So with that being said, here you go. Awesome. Well, everyone is here early, so I appreciate you guys being here. Even before I asked you to be here. So thank you very much. Let's go ahead and we'll start a minute early just because I do have to jump a few minutes early for my flight. And let's jump into some wins. So before we do that, I actually want to take a second and go through the two sides of every meeting. Okay. So in every meeting, there's 2 phases. The first phase is reporting. So reporting is where you're not having a dialogue. You're not like asking questions and breaking things down. It's just about reporting what's been going on with you. And for us, really what that looks like right now is it just looks like wins. And then it looks like Amanda and Adrian kind of, informing us on what they're supposed to be doing. In the future, we'll add in something called projections, which Devin knows about. It's something we've done on the sales side, but we're going to be doing with you guys, where basically you're going to be projecting, how many upgrades you're going to get, how many reviews you're going to get per week, how many refunds you're going to get, all those things, how many calls you're going to be taking. And then every single day, you're going to be reporting on whether you're hitting your projection or you're not. Right. So we'll be doing that in the future. Don't worry about that now. But in the meantime, as we go through wins, understand that it's just a time for you to share some wins that have gone on with you and the company. It's not a time for like anybody to like necessarily jump in and start asking you questions about it, like open up a dialogue or a conversation. If there is an issue about something that we need to discuss, save it for when we get into the later part of the meeting when we have that discussion part. Does that make sense? That way we can be really efficient. So with that being said, when we do wins, it's just a free for all. Whoever wants to jump in first can jump in.
I'll go. Okay. I'd say my win, which is really cool, on the welcome call I had yesterday, the woman gave me like the nicest compliment. Basically, she thought I was super helpful. And then she had like checked out my profile because she wanted to see if like our team was like legit. So she's looking at my profile and she's like, oh my gosh, like your content is so nice. You look so helpful. I can't believe everything that you're doing. Like you guys have such an amazing team. I was like, oh my gosh, like keep pumping my tires. This is amazing. So she like legit made my day.
Keep pumping my tires. I've never. I had a student yesterday. I always mess up her name. I think it's like Grozit, maybe. She has had a lot of struggles, especially getting started. She had some weird situations. Someone basically like tried to fraud her in surplus funds, like fake an identity to claim funds when she called them. Anyways, dealing with all that made her discouraged. We did another call yesterday, and she has a legit first deal under contract for a $500 commission. She's super excited, starting to get that morale back. So I'm very happy for her to be moving forward.
Nice. That's awesome. So one of my wins was yesterday or the day before. I was talking with one of the students, and he was in Texas, and he's got a deal under contract. I think it's either Tanya or Dylan's student. It's Timothy, and I went through the entire process with him, and he's now going to be able to go and collect. I think he's getting like a couple $1,000s out of the deal. So it's actually, no, this one it's a $500 deal. So it was like just under $5,000. So as the total, and he gets the 10%. So, but it's a great first win, and I think he's really going to be helpful, as well as I don't know if you guys are familiar with Yusuf. He's one of our students. He actually is. I had a little dialogue opened up with him, and he's very interested in joining the mastermind. So that was my next question: is I want to talk to Spencer and see if I sign him up under you, or do we sign him up under some other sales guy to kind of talk with them. He already went through the process, and he said that he's open to paying for more training and getting there faster and be more efficient. So we'll see how it goes.
Boom. Nice. I'll hop in. Excuse me. Had a great day yesterday, besides being in pain. Had a good one-on-one with Spencer. I'm so excited to be working with you guys and supporting on this side of the company. I think we did a lot of great things in building out the sales side of our company, and now moving over to the ops side. A lot of big plans in the work that I think are going to really help us to move forward and impact more people's lives and really kind of stick with our company's vision. So really, really excited about the future that we have here in this team.
Awesome. I had a one-on-one with Devin, actually just a quick talk, and we set up a time for today, a little bit later, to do and go through the process of what sales coordinator does. So I'm excited. We're going to be doing some recordings for him to look back on, and then he should be pretty much up to speed after that. So that's really exciting.
That's wonderful. My win would be a student, Dan Tobias. I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday or not, but I wanted to make mention of it, that he hired a VA and now he's got 3 deals under his belt, and he's really excited about proceeding. At one point he was thinking about quitting, actually, but he spoke with David, did a call with him, and we redid his onboarding and everything, and he's on track, and he's real excited about it.
So there is one problem.
Oh,
His VA mentioned JD Vista, so he's having a little bit of problems there. So we're actually dealing with that. He's asked to fee split, which I don't like doing. I'm trying to get him to collect on that and go forward. My win would be, I know you worked hard with him. Thank you for that. I have a California state funds video, like a really step-by-step process. It's totally awesome. Like, it's step 1, here's how you fill out the registration. Step 2, here's how you download the list. Step 3, here's how you do the contracts. It's about a 35-minute video. So I went ahead and uploaded it up on, I put a job request on Upwork, and the 3 top people, 2 top people, and then 1 regular guy that had applied. There was about 85 people that applied. I went ahead and gave them the video and gave them the assignment of whoever edits it best. So one guy came up and he doesn't have it fully edited, but it's done a really just fantastic job. And we'll have that probably by tomorrow at this point. So yeah, just a nice little win is we're adding on to our state videos as we've talked about before. So there'll be more.
Wonderful. My win is how many of you guys, by the way, just show of hands, saw what I posted in the operations team chat yesterday? How many of you guys saw that?
Yeah, went through the whole objections.
Okay. Make sure when I'm posting that, like you guys drop me a fire emoji just so I can make sure you guys saw it and look through it. I'm super, super excited for that. I think it's going to change the game with just handling and processing these refunds. And it's kind of a system where like, it'll help people solve their own problems too. And I'm going to do a full training. Friday's meeting is going to be a full training breaking down exactly how everyone's going to interact with that because I'm still kind of putting some minor details on it, but I'm very excited about it. So that's my win. Now we're going to jump into Amanda and Adrienne. So again, reporting, Amanda, how many people you had scheduled yesterday, how many people showed up and were onboarded, if there were any like notable instances or issues, bringing those up and informing the coaches. And then Adrienne, missed payments and refund requests and the usual stuff. So Amanda, if you'd like to go first.
Yep. I had 6 welcome calls yesterday. 4 showed. 2, I emailed them after and sent them, the link to rebook. 1, I honestly can't even pronounce the man's name. His internet just sucked. Like, it was very frustrating. Like, he just had the worst internet ever. So it was like very difficult to try to get through the call with him. I literally got as far as just like the questionnaire. So that's not even done because it's just internet sucks. So I'm going to try to get a hold of him today and get that done. Sorry. And then I have 4 calls today. And then that one guy that was giving me problems. So
You're muted.
Yeah, I saw that. Have you, did you get a response back? Because you had 2 people no show yesterday and you had 1 person no show the day before. Have you been able to successfully reschedule those people, or are they still in the?
Two I've rescheduled and 1 I haven't yet.
Got it. Cool. Adrienne.
For missed payments, there's 1 guy, Duke, 1,600. And then for refunds, there's 1 new guy that has put through his name. Yeah, there's 1 new guy.
Got it. Cool. Cool. Okay. And have you made contact with any of those people?
I have not made contact with this morning. I have not made contact. It was just this morning. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, that was pretty quick and easy.
Can I ask a question about for Adrian, or is that not the time?
Well, I think he's done. So yes, that's fine.
Okay. Adrian, were you able to get in contact with Peter? He sent me another email.
I did reach out to him. He did not contact. I can reach out to him again today.
Yeah, if you could, and then just send him an email letting him know what number you're contacting him, because he's saying that he's not hearing anything.
Totally. Yeah, I can definitely email him.
Thanks.
Cool. So I want to share something with you guys today. So the agenda of today's meeting is going to be the same agenda that we're going to use for every day. So I'm going to break this down for you guys right here. Check this out. So I don't know if I've ever actually like written this out for you guys. Can you guys see this right here? Yes. Okay. This is how this is going to work. Okay. So every meeting I mentioned starts 5 minutes before, right? Some small talk, just kind of getting everybody awake and warmed up, ready to go. Then at 7 a.m. sharp, win start, reporting no questions, no long dialogue, right? You guys did a great job with that today. It's an awesome job. I mean, look at it, it's 7:10 a.m. and we're done with the first 2 parts of the meeting, which is perfect. So great job. At 7:05, Amanda and Adrienne doing their check-in. And then in the future, I mentioned projections, and I'll, obviously train you guys on that and all that when we get there. And then at this point in time, once we get done with that, we'll go through company announcements if we have any. I do have a couple today that I'm going to share. And then obviously if David has any, he'll jump in and share at this point. And then the rest of the call will be all about training. So call reviews, company training, whatever it is that we need to do to help you guys improve. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to send this in the chat, in the operations chat. So you guys can, just keep that in the back of your head. And that way everyone's on the same page with the agendas. But with that being said, we'll jump into announcements. David, that was my first announcement. David, do you have any announcements?
I do not. I'm good.
Got it. Okay, cool.
I appreciate
yeah,
that.
So, but today I wanted to take a minute or take this meeting and really emphasize some like the foundational elements of the company, because I think that you guys have probably seen all this stuff before, but with the sales side, one thing that we noticed, especially as we grew the team, these things kind of got lost in translation and they weren't being repeated over and over again. And I think it's important. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen. And how many of you guys have seen this document before?
I've seen it once in like a really old meeting.
Dylan said he's seen it once a really long time. Okay. It's probably a good thing that we're going through this one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So this is kind of our core like culture doc for the company. Okay. So everything we do is based off of this. All right, it's very important because what you realize is, what is a company? A company is it's a group of people. It's a group of people trying to accomplish a common goal. Right? That's what an organization is, or a company, or whatever you want to call it, right? And so ultimately, when that group gets large enough, it's impossible to run every single decision, and it's very inefficient to run every single decision through a central person or central people even, right? And so because of that, there has to be a base code, a source code for how we make all of our decisions, right? And so that's what this is. This is the base code for how we make all of our decisions. Okay, so when you're going throughout your day and you come across something, right? Like for example, last week or whenever it was, a couple weeks ago, Nick, when you had the issue with OneSub, right? Like, I want you guys proactively solving problems using this source code, right? This is your guide to how you should conduct yourself in the company. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. And the best thing is that like these same principles are going to help you be a better coach, serve our customers better, do all of the things at the next level, because they're all principles that are going to help you not only while you're here working, but also in your own life. And it's your decision if you want to use them in your own life, but ultimately, when you're here, it's a requirement, right? When we're evaluating people, we're looking at two sides. We're looking at, do they have the skill set, right? Do they understand what they're supposed to be doing? Do they have the quantitative success or the quantitative ability to do what we need them to do? But then we're also looking at the qualitative side, right? How are they showing up to meetings? Are they a good culture fit, right? All of those little elements, and that's where this comes in, okay? So first thing is our mission. I'm gonna call on someone here. Dylan, since you said you've never read this before, or you've seen this once before, can you read our mission and just give your thoughts on what you think it means?
To create financial advancement and give a sense of hope. So the way I interpret that would be, to help our students create, financial gain that they may have never had in their life, or recreate if they have before, and then give them the sense of hope and belief that it's actually possible to reach these financial goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the biggest thing is, I know Dylan, you're a little bit younger. I'm a little bit younger. Adrian, a little bit younger, right? Like we have a young team, but even for whether you're young or you're older or whatever it is, however old you are, if you've ever been stuck somewhere in life, whether it's financially or not, right? But if you've ever been stuck somewhere at the same level for a long enough time, you start to lose hope that it's even possible to move to the next level. You start to just kind of accept the status quo. And I'm very much anti-accepting the status quo, right? And so part of our job is to open people's perspective a little bit and see that, hey, you know what? It is possible for you to get to the next level, right? And it's possible through this vehicle we've created called surplus funds. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on this?
Yeah.
Yes, no? Nick, what are your thoughts about that?
No, I totally agree. Actually, I had a coaching call this morning and went over this exact right at the beginning of my call. I went over it saying, from one of my experiences when I first started in joining you guys as just a student, my very first coaching call, I jumped on, and one of the other students actually said, I joined, this is the third course that I've joined. And let me tell you, this is the best support team and stuff like that you're going to have. And my first instinct was like, yes, I picked the right course. And so I go over that with my students. I tell them that, and then I reaffirm them of saying, you did make the correct choice. We are going to here to help you, support you, and get you where you want to be for your financial goals.
Awesome. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm that makes me very happy and excited to hear that you're passing along the message. So that's awesome. So jumping into our core principles, we have 5 core principles, and I'm going to read through each one, and then whoever wants to jump in, I'm curious and kind of hearing from everyone. So if there's a couple people that are really quiet, I'm probably going to pick on you later. But whoever wants to jump in and just kind of share what they think that each principle means as I finish reading it, please do, because I'm going to call on people if no one's listening, because I want to hear from you guys, because ultimately, like, I can tell you these things, but if you're not, A, if you don't understand them, and then B, if you're not living them, then they're kind of irrelevant, right? So the first thing is it's called extreme ownership. And what it means is in all aspects of our life, we take immediate personal ownership of any problem. We ask ourselves what we could have done better to prevent this, and we step in to find a solution immediately. So who wants to jump in and share?
I can jump in.
That's it.
So I think extreme ownership aspects are pretty important, because when you don't take ownership for your actions, you're putting it on others, and that essentially doesn't fix the problem. Another thing with extreme ownership is when you take the problem and actively try to fix it, it actively gets fixed, as well as you advance as a person because you've surpassed that problem.
Awesome. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll add to that.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
I'll add to that. It's sort of like it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. When you see something, you do something about it and take on that. Like, okay, well, if I'm here for a reason, and let me see what I can do about it.
Absolutely.
And, if we take extreme ownership ourselves, and we really live through that, it also rubs off on the students that we coach, as coaches as well, because it's really important for them to take the same extreme ownership if they want to be successful in this business. That's exactly what I was thinking too, Dylan, is because, so I even put like little Post-it notes up on my mirror of what I want my financial goals to be. And I go over that with my students and saying, this is what I'm doing. And then at the end of this, when I say that, I ask at the end of the day, did I take one step towards that financial goal? Yes, no, but I'm taking ownership if I did or didn't. And if I didn't, how can I correct it and take one more step towards it tomorrow?
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to take a second here and talk tactic. Like, okay, we got the principle down, but tactically, how do we implement this? What ideas do you have? And you just brought up a good one, Nick, but what other ideas do you guys have?
I think journaling is extremely important, morning and night, setting your intention for the day and reviewing on how you did on that intention. It's very similar to the sticky note thing, just
right.
Also recording your calls, listening to how your calls are going, and then, recording them and then listening so you can take ownership of how that call went.
Mm-hmm.
And I also recommend in my coaching calls, I recommend that my students record their calls and then they send me their best and their worst call so I can review them and go over it with them, maybe even on the next time.
Awesome.
I'd like to share a little bit on this one here, because this is one that's like been something that I've learned a lot from in my experience being on the team here. One thing that Spencer would tell us all the time is like, don't come to me with the problem. If you're going to come to me with a problem, come with at least 2 or 3 solutions, right? And so what ends up happening is like, you no longer start just viewing your problem as a dead end. It's just like, there's a problem, someone else is going to fix it, right? It's like, oh wait, this is an opportunity for me to grow because maybe I didn't know how to, approach this problem before. And then you end up, doing some things like I did, getting the whole CRM systems changed up, right? And that's like not something that's within my wheelhouse. It made sense, but I just was like, okay, well, let me learn through this, let me power through this, because at the end of the day, we're here to create financial advancement and a sense of hope, and everything that we can do to gear up towards that, to better ourselves, to be of service to these people. That's really like how I perceive the extreme ownership, like especially on the operations side, not even just with like our clients and stuff. And it's really furthering us towards, our company goals, our personal goals and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, so going off that, I'm really glad you brought that up, Devin. We implemented a rule on the sales side of the company that I would like to bring over here with you guys, and it's called I intend. And so the way that it works is anytime you have a problem that you come across, or have an issue or a roadblock or anything that you're dealing with as part of the company, obviously you're going to try to solve it on your own if it's a small issue. But if it's something that's bigger that you feel like you need to talk to someone about, that's okay. But anytime you bring up an issue, you have to follow the issue with I intend to XYZ. So, for example, with Nick's situation with OneSub, because I brought it up earlier, right? Hey, OneSub is down. I intend to contact OneSub and see if we can fix it. Right. So you're bringing a solution to the issue, because at the end of the day, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one is, like Devin said, your brain's going to start operating in that mode of taking ownership over these problems. And I thought what Tanya said right there was great, because it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. Right. Ultimately, if it's your issue, it's your responsibility. Right. So that's number one. But number two is your brain will start working in a way where you'll be looking for these solutions, and it'll help you coach better. Because instead of being locked into like, oh, this is a problem, this has to be the solution, you'll start to think more creatively and say, well, it could be that, but it could also be this solution. Maybe this will be actually better. Right. Does that make sense? Cool. How do you guys feel about that? Are you guys in on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, awesome, guys. Cool. So principle number 2, face the music. So we dig into problems to find the ultimate truth, because whether in our work or personal lives, we must never operate off anything but the 110% accurate truth.
Oh, this was a huge one for me in my personal life, but lying to yourself on like your actual performance and what you're doing, and if you're actually functioning at your highest ability. I used to have a huge problem with that myself, and for going back to journaling, that's where it really started helping me, because you there's nothing to look at but what you wrote for the day and whether or not you accomplished that, and you have no way to lie to yourself at that point.
I mean, I would go like exactly what you said, Dylan. Like, I think the same. You might even lie to yourself thinking, oh, I'm doing my best, but it's like, are you really at the end of the day? And same for me. Journaling is like huge, because I mean, really you're looking at yourself right in the mirror and being like, am I doing my best, or can I pull more out of myself to make myself a better person, to be able to serve, our clients better.
Just out of curiosity, to kind of facilitate some conversation here, what you guys both brought up examples of facing the music within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But walk me through, and it can be anybody, walk me through an experience you've had, or just an experience you've had where you've had to face the music with someone else. What does that look like?
Lying to yourself about how great your relationship is, say with a significant other. Sometimes there's, red flags or issues that, from an outward perspective would otherwise be, unacceptable, that you put up with from like a fog that you put in your own eyes, not facing the actual truth of how you would feel if you were from an outside perspective of the situation.
What else, guys? Jump in.
To add to Dylan's point, I think that that's very true, especially for my case would be some toxic family members that you deal with, and you kind of give them an excuse. So instead of doing that, you say, you know what, it's not doing me any good, so I need to do XYZ to have a healthier relationship with myself and with that person. And sometimes that's a little bit more space, or, you have to come up with a realistic solution so that you're no longer affected by them, or maybe you're not affecting them in that same way. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think what Dylan said there in terms of like there's this fog and you're kind of putting up with things, right? I think that's ultimately what Facing the Music is all about, right? It's all about saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to accept, the bare minimum. We're not going to accept because we, like someone or because they've done something in the past we've agreed with. We're going to hold everybody to the same high standards, whether they're new to the team, whether they've been a part of the team for a long time, whether they're a new student, an old student, it doesn't matter, right? We're going to hold everybody to the same high standards that we want to hold ourselves to. Because both of you, Dylan and Amanda, you guys both brought up wonderful examples at the very beginning of this conversation with journaling and face the music within yourself. And I think that's great. And that was a great place to start. But we have to ask ourselves too, if we're going to face the music with ourselves and we're going to hold ourselves to a high standard, well, who affects us other than ourselves? Who affects us the most? The closest people around us. So if we're only going to hold ourselves to the high standards and not everyone else around us, well, we're not going to get very far, right? So it's a consensual agreement that we are all going to face the music, be willing to have hard conversations, be willing to step up and politely call each other out when we're not at our best, when we're not, being the best version that we can be, and when we're allowing ourselves to cheat and, be lower, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Surplus orders, guys, you guys should know this one pretty well. Okay, hopefully. So our success is directly tied to the success of our customers. Because of that, we revel in our customers' victories. We do whatever it takes to get them there. Who wants to jump in?
I mean, that's especially as coaches, that's like our entire job. And I know for me and the other coaches, because I've seen it and been on some of their calls, like we take it extremely seriously and will literally do however many extra calls, however many extra emails that it takes to help someone and get them in the right direction and do everything in our power to motivate them not to give up and stop. So I know all of us take that extremely, extremely seriously. And it's more than just like a job at this point. It's like a devotion to them.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to like, I know we all really actually get very good, like enjoyment of helping our students get to that next level. And even just getting their first deal, like the other day, like today's win for me was helping out a student that he got his first deal, and I was able to help him get through that process so he could submit that claim. I think that's exactly, I mean, and it's not just me. I know all the other coaches do this as well. So I totally agree with you on Dylan.
That's a great example right there, because Timothy, he's my student, and we actually talked to him. Like the fact that, us as coaches, yes, we all have our individual students, but in that situation, Nick's way better at filling out Texas claims. I'm still, in the process of learning that. And he was willing to, step in and help my student, finish filing that claim in an area where I could, am working on and getting better at. And I think that's extremely important as well. We take responsibility for all students, not even just our own.
Yep.
And I appreciate that, Nick, by the way.
No problem. Anytime, bud.
And I think that part of the wonderful thing about surplus fund, and this is what I tell a lot of students, is that we're more like a family. And an example is like between Dylan and Nick is the helping each other and lifting up, instead of feeling like, oh, they're competitive. We want everybody to come up to that same level and enjoy helping each other.
Yeah. I mean, and not only that too, by us as coaches doing it, that rubs off on our students, because like student to be honest with you, like look at Brandy, for example. She's literally helping students on her weekend to get them if they have questions and stuff like that too. So even our students are just the community itself is always trying to help out each other, and that's what we did as coaches, and and put that into them, so they're passing on the knowledge as well. So it's awesome.
Yeah, we're facilitating a culture.
Yeah.
So going off that too, I mean, you guys tell me, especially Nick, Dylan, and Tanya, and you brought this up earlier, Nick, like when you first started working with us on the student side, when you were a student, and you just felt you could feel a difference in how we run and operate things compared to other things that you've been through or that other people have been through. I think that's part of what draws people to us. Is that we everyone here genuinely wants people to be successful. Like, this is not like a quick cash grab. Like, I've been in this game, and this is gonna sound funny when I say this, but I've been running this company for 5 years, right? Which is not like a very long time, right? But in this industry, that's like an eternity. Like, I'm basically a dinosaur. Okay, I've lived 1,000 lifetimes. Okay, which is sad, right? But that's the nature of this industry, is that people are in for 6 months and they're out. I mean, I literally have known people that when I was first getting started, they blew up, made a bunch of money, lost all of it because they weren't taking care of their customers and like were just frauds and all that. Blew up again, made a bunch of money, and are now on the decline again for the second time. Okay, in 5 years. I mean, it's like amazing how fast things go through. And so to be working on the same company for 5 years in this industry is like, it's like unheard of. Okay, like it doesn't happen. And like Amanda will tell you, like it does not happen. Okay.
No, not at all. No.
Yes. So that's why I share this with you guys, is that like the reason why we're able to sustain that for so long and why we continue to grow is because we genuinely want people to be successful. That's our entire business is optimized to do that, and will continue to be optimized to do that, because at the end of the day, the point of a business is to solve a problem. And the problem that we're looking to solve is to create financial value and give a sense of hope, right? Not to sell a course and make some money and then run away. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, innovation over competition. So we believe that focusing on our long-term mission and innovating for the future rather than competing with others. Now, what do you guys think about this one?
I mean, I think it's just like almost getting a bit of tunnel vision and blocking out the rest of the noise and just literally focusing on our company, our mission, our students, and literally not worrying about any of the competition, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I mean, even internally, I think that's a big thing to think about with like our students. I know when people come in, they get worried about having to compete with the other students in the program, and being able to give that back to like a sense of hope that like nothing's really oversaturated. We're all just innovating, and we're constantly finding new states to work in, constantly finding, new ways to file to get better results, and that there's no real need to compete with each other, rather to, especially on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night coaching calls, being able to innovate together as a group instead of everyone trying to feel like they need to compete with each other. Internally, I feel like that's huge.
Yeah, like that is a mindset thing. It's a mindset shift for sure, to be able to
100%.
think that way, because not everyone does. Like everyone thinks everything's oversaturated, but that, like you said, that is like going internal.
I mean, the amount of people in California is honestly crazy, and the amount of people still getting new deals in California is also insane. Like there's
Half of my little Canada over here, just in California.
Yeah, so going off that, a couple things. The first thing is, the reason why this is a core principle, there's a couple of reasons. The first thing, do you guys know what a moat is? A moat?
Like around a castle?
Yeah, well, do you know what it is, like in a business context?
No.
Okay, it's the same idea.
Castle? No, I'm kidding.
It's the same idea, right? We want to create barriers to entry. We want to create, we want to make it harder for people to compete with us, right? And so how do you do that? You don't focus on the competition. You focus on out innovating the competition. Elon Musk has said multiple times that like the biggest moat, the biggest barrier to entry you can have is by out innovating everyone else. But the key thing is to out innovate them for things that actually matter. You can't just out innovate for innovation's sake, right? Like we're going to turn into like the company that like has created the greatest door frame in the world. It's like nobody really cares. Okay, right? Like what we need to do is innovate to solve problems that customers have better than anyone else. Right? That's what we need to focus on where we're innovating. So that's number one. But number two, like you said, it is a mindset thing. Right? It is about finding ways to focus on what you can do better versus on what everyone else is doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And then guys, I do have to board here in about 5 minutes. So we're gonna wrap this up with our last principle. So lifelong learners. We pride ourselves on consistent self-improvement in our work and personal lives by striving to learn and utilize the most up-to-date and effective information available. What do you guys think about that?
Always want to be learning. Yeah, I think it comes back to like, so I always want to have a coach or someone above me to help me in the next and on anything that I'm doing. So if I'm coaching, I want to be learning about coaching. If I'm in my business, I want to have the next steps on what I should be doing in my business. Yeah, always trying to improve.
Also, you can learn from everyone else in the company as well. Accepting that you don't know everything.
Completely agree. I think it's also adding on to your situation where if you don't take humility in the fact that you don't know everything, then you won't be able to progress and get better. And I sure don't want to cap out where I'm at right now. So always be willing to learn and progress, because there's always so much more that you could do that you're not able or not currently doing.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing here, guys, is that we're an education company. And so if we did not educate ourselves, then it would be a little ironic for us to say that we need to educate others. Okay. And that's the biggest thing is focusing on saying, hey, we need to be valuable to provide value, and we need to continue becoming more valuable to provide more value. Right. And that's what we want to do as a company. We want to continue to provide more value. And that's why I mentioned the reading, the book club that we're going to be restarting. So on Monday, or I'm going to shoot you guys a message later today about the book. I want you guys to get ready to read. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, my favorite book. Sure, a lot of you guys have already read it before. We're going to read it again together, and we're going to discuss it on some of these meetings. We're going to start that on Monday. So if you get a copy of it, I'll send a message of it in the operations team chat, and you'll be good to go. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Is there any other last second questions before I jump off? I'm going to end this meeting a little early, obviously, because I got to jump on a plane. But also because I think this is really important, and I want you guys to take a few minutes to actually look at this doc. I'll link it in the chat. In fact, let me do that now. Because ultimately, like I said, I can tell you guys all these things. We can have this great discussion, but if you're not living these things, it really doesn't matter, right? Anything else, guys? Going once, going twice. No. Amanda's doing a little dance. Okay. Awesome, guys. So take a look at this, guys. And listen, in the future, what we're going to start doing is at the end of each day, I want you guys to shout out one of your fellow teammates here and shout them out for using one of our core principles. So, hey, shout out Nick. I thought he took extreme ownership on this problem he solved today. All right. Or shout out Amanda. She faced the music with one of our onboard clients, or so on and so forth. Okay. So with that being said, I got to run. I got to get on a plane. You guys are awesome. Be ready tomorrow. Whoever sends me a call first, we'll get their call reviewed tomorrow, and I will see you guys bright and early.
See you guys later.
Hey, Mom.
Have a good one.